Bandwidth for VT Talk is provided by vaporworld.co.uk.
Well, hello, good evening. Lovely to see you all here, and I'm going to nick something that's been typed into chat straight away. Welcome to the first Wednesday in Why Can't They Leave Us Alone to Do What We Want, Tober. Is that right, Sav?
That's exactly right.
Exactly right. Leave us alone to do what we want, Tober. That's what it is. Anybody mentions anything else, you know where the corner is. No biscuits. That's simple. Tonight's going to be a bit of an off-the-cuff night. But an off-the-cuff night with a little bit of devious plotting and planning going on. Sorry, I'm moving about the place because I'm it's, what can I tell you? It's toffee apple cider. It's so nice. Might have had a bottle or two, but never mind. Yes, tonight, as you will see, it's 2-1-1, but in not quite the right order for what you've got in mind. Tonight, I have with me Mark the Modder, as you can see just there. Hi, Mark.
Hello, everybody.
And Sav, further over, where she usually is, in her usual delicious gorgeousness. In the pink tonight she is, aren't you, Sav?
I am, yes.
Yes.
I found the brightness button.
Indeed, the brightness button. If you were watching on 480 or 720 live, that is, then you will have seen the fertile under the monitor for the brightness button. Our little fingers were going like that.
We're sore now.
Little fingers going like that. Till she found it. Once she found the button, everything panned out the way she wanted it, didn't it?
Yeah, it certainly did.
Yes.
All good.
Tonight, we're going to be talking about all kinds of things and playing a little bit of video in, because I've got an American guest lined up for one of the shows, which I think everybody will enjoy seeing. But yes, we're gonna have a little bit of video from him, and then potentially, maybe, given that we've got the master of the mesh, Mark is the master of the mesh. Given that we've got him here, I might have a blast with that, and with that. There could be blood, there could be blisters, but first there'll need to be titles. Well, everything seems to be working, although, who's the mistress?
Cat.
Is she? She's the mistress of the mesh.
Yes.
Yeah. The mistress of the mesh. And she's actually, Cat is with you. She's with us. She's with you in chat, if you're watching live. If you're not watching live, she's nowhere near you. She's in chat, and she is the mistress of the mesh, and I'm here to say, if I put a foot wrong, I know her, she'll dial straight in. She will. She's good that way, but she is the mistress of the mesh. But between them, we have the master and mistress of the mesh tonight. But before we go to the master and mistress of the mesh, you've probably all seen this. If you haven't, you need to. I'm going to play some video in from, as I said, I was going to have a transatlantic guest in one of the shows. And this is the man himself who's going to be the transatlantic guest. If you haven't seen this video, I want to play it to you now because it is brilliant. I hope it all works. Here we go.
I'm back here today, second of 2 videos that's going to be uploaded today. Wanted to talk real fast about the longevity of vaping, if that makes any sense. People who I see on the street ask me about it, people at work ask me about it, and you know, people on the forums, you know, even on my Facebook ask me about it. How long are you going to do this? I mean, isn't vaping designed to help you quit smoking? And my response is always the same. When I was a smoker, I loved smoking, okay? I looked forward to getting that new pack of cigarettes, you know what I mean, and packing it down and going through the ceremony and lighting it up, and I enjoyed it. I wouldn't say I was like an aficionado or anything of tobaccos. I never smoked a pipe, occasional cigars, but I loved smoking. There was nothing more enjoyable to me. I liked smoking with friends. I liked smoking and having cocktails. I liked being out at the casino playing blackjack with a cocktail and a cigarette. There's nothing more I enjoyed. I thought it was fantastic. So to me, vaping replaces that. Vaping is an alternative to cigarettes. If you can get a vape and, go down to zero nick and then stop vaping and stop smoking and stop everything, then that is awesome. Quite honestly, that's a lot of people's end result. My end result is not to kill myself with cigarettes. Vaping is a reduced harm alternative to cigarettes. A lot of the population of people in the community, people I've talked to that are vapors, they are vaping and they are vaping. You know what I mean? They're going to continue vaping. As long as vaping is a thing, I am 100% sure that I will do it. Otherwise, what's the point in me investing all this money on mods and juice and tanks and atomizers? I'm looking at boxes of atomizers that I purchased. I have enough atomizers in there to at least keep me vaping for another year without even buying anything else. I have enough juice in my tackle box and on my bookshelf to, I could probably fill up a jug, like a water jug of juice. Maybe not that much juice, I might be exaggerating. But I have a lot invested in this. It's something I enjoy. For a lot of people, this is their first hobby. You know what I mean? This is their first community. This is their first hobby that they've been a part of. It's exciting. It's getting away from tobacco. It's something new. It's a reduced harm alternative. And as long as vaping exists, I will be vaping. Maybe not in the capacity right now. Maybe not in the hobby form that I am right now, where you see a new mod or you see a rebuildable and you're like frothing at the mouth to get a Genesis. I want a Genesis. I want a Genesis atomizer tank. That's what I want. And there's people who don't want to do that. They just get an ego and vape it, and then that's cool for them. How long are we going to continue doing this? Ask yourself that question. How long do you want to keep doing this vape thing? I want to go to vape meets. I want to meet people. I want to taste new and exciting juices. I want to try new and exciting mods. It's more than just not smoking anymore. It's its own thing. This vaping. It's its own world that we're all a part of. I don't know. I'm going to get off my soapbox now. But as long as there's vaping, I will be vaping. And that is certainly not for everybody. There's no rules in vaping. There's no wrong way to vape. If you vape for 3 years and then you're like, I'm over it, then be over it. If you vape for 6 months and it gets you off cigarettes and now you don't have to do either, then that's your end goal. That's awesome. That's not my end goal. My end goal is to enjoy this continuously and thoroughly and continue to be passionate about it, passionate about juice, passionate about mods, passionate about the community and the people. That's where I'm coming from. Public service announcement from Grim Green Industries. Rainbow, the more you know. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Hope this clears things up. Hope it's inspirational to you. Someone told me on my Facebook that I'm more of an inspirational speaker than a reviewer, and that's kind of awesome to me. If you're faltering and you're gonna buy a pack of cigarettes, no, don't do it. Just talk to another vaper, get some juice. Talk to me. We'll get you some juice somehow. Let's support each other. Let's be proud vapors. Let's let smokers say, I ruined the whole speech. Let's let smokers know that there's something way cooler out there for them to do. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I will keep on vaping, as you should as well.
And there you go. Oops, I was listening to that. You can tell. The train now standing on platform 10. That is an inspirational video, wouldn't you agree, you two?
Yep.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that one, actually. It's the third time I've seen it.
have we any comments from chat about it, Sav?
We have, yes. Gary Wood typed in, "Stop vaping, question mark. No." Vapologist said he's spot on in this vid till the very end. Marky Mar says, "I do have to admit it's my hobby. It's my only hobby now. I want one of everything." Mitch Dogger said, "Bang on, think he speaks for many of us, to be honest." And Jill CB says, "I am a proud vapor."
Well, that's all good stuff, and I've just realised one of my Macintoshes is making the most horrible noise. The fans come on, so that's fine. I've got rid of it. We're not going to be using that again tonight. The only thing I get out of all of this, and he's so right, it would appear that we've got a number of different types of people using e-cigs. We've got the hobbyists, and I think, Mark, you and I would probably count ourselves amongst that number.
I'm definitely in that category.
Yes. Sav, you?
Yes, I would say so.
Given what we might be embarking on after the first break, I think it's fairly safe to say. Yes, very much. There are those who still seem to be hell-bent on using e-cigs to quit nicotine. And I'm going to use two separate phrases from here on in, because this video has had me thinking quite a lot. There's quitting smoking, which is stopping using tobacco, and there's quitting nicotine, which is what the World Health Organization thinks quitting is. So there are some that are going to be using it to quit nicotine. I have to say, although it might work for them, I still think they should be using NRT. That's just my feeling on it. There are those that are using it to stop smoking cigarettes. I don't actually fall into that category, that was a bit of an accident. And there are those that are using it to get past smoking bans, which was why I started. And the savings are pretty damned useful, it has to be said, although most of my savings have a tendency to go on this kind of stuff, mods and juice and you know, who cares? I'm still quids into pocket. Why did you start, Mark?
Partly to get around the smoking bans, and partly to save money. Because, to be honest, I just couldn't afford to carry on with the prices of cigarettes.
Right. It's an interesting notion, is that there's all kinds of stuff going on here, and I'm gonna have to close my chat machine down because I've started reading it. Sav, can you bring us up to date with what's going on in there?
I'll read some of it, yes. Sue Biscuit has said, "It's a hobby and a pleasure, much more than smoking ever was for me," which a lot of people have agreed with. I'm just trying to get past all the Hobbit comments. Someone saying we should have, Super 7 said we should have some t-shirts made up saying "proud to vape." And Vaporman says, "Vape hard, vape heavy, vape animal."
Yes. Not quite
There you
sure
go.
how you would vape an animal, but if that's...
I'm trying not to think about it.
It's not something I particularly want to think about, no. Yeah, I mean, this whole notion of reduced harm, tobacco harm reduction, THR as it's been dubbed across the pond in the United States of America, which I think is a damn good way of looking at it. It's a harm reduction way of doing what you did. It's the whole notion of being able to do what you did without killing yourself. It's kind of like, you know, being able to go and drive a Formula 1 car and not bother if you crash, because it's not going to hurt you. And that's to me at least, that's where e-cigs are, which is all good stuff. So, Mark, you started A to get past the smoking ban, and B to save a bit of money. Sav, what about you?
Me, it was a gadget. I thought, ooh, new gadget, must have that. Must see what that's all about. And that's where I started. And I thought, yeah, it's going to be a bit of a laugh. Didn't expect it to be any good at all. And was like, ooh, this is actually quite good. And that was where I started.
I've got to admit the gadget side of things does it does thrill a little bit, but I see, I'm turning the tables now, Vaporman has asked, Q, he says, "What the hell is Sav vaping on? It's massive." Better hold it up, missus.
It is a Darwin with a gooseneck with, was it an NT6 tank?
The butt plug.
The butt plug, yes.
Yes.
Attached via USB.
It is known to certain members of the team as the butt plug.
It is, yes.
And it's a blue one. Yes. It's but you're a devil for the Darwin, you aren't you?
Oh, I love my Darwin. Absolutely love it. Never out of my hand.
Yes, indeed. I think it's safe to say that power-controlled e-cig usage is definitely the way forward. Because you're power-controlled at the moment, are you not, young Mr. Mark?
I certainly am with the DNA. It's the one that's almost always in my hand.
Indeedly, do.
Despite the vast array I've got around.
And on top of that?
The did.
The did. That's got a
original.
mesh wick in it, hasn't it?
It certainly has, yes.
Right. We'll bear that in mind. I should also remember to mention the nivel chip, because I got taken to task last time we were talking about power control vaping, because I forgot to mention the nivel chip. And I do apologise for that. Only reason that I didn't mention it was because I haven't been able to get my hands on one. But I do want to have a look at it at some point. And again, there are more comments coming in, so I can see, and there's one I bet you daren't read out.
I'm not reading that out, no.
I didn't think so.
No, I won't be reading. There's no comments, nothing to see here. Move along.
Really?
Aha.
So what Marco van Basten and Gary Wood had to say, you're not going to read out?
They didn't speak on my chat.
Oh, right. Well, just so you know, because I know that the chat can occasionally mess up, Marco van Basten said, oh no, dildos are coming up next. And Gary Wood said dildos again. And I have, oh please, somebody's just said, did he say nipple chip?
Oh, nipple clip.
Nivel, N-I-V for variable, E-L, Nivel chip. That got it away from dildos, didn't it, Sav?
It did, yeah. Straight in nipples.
Pretty, oh God. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen who watch after the fact on video on demand or on YouTube or on Blip or on the podcasts, again, you need to see what our viewers, our live viewers, type into chat sometimes, and I'm pretty sure they do it just to put me off when they know I'm reading it, because apparently now they're talking about nipple clips. I have no idea what one of those is. I thought it was what you used to stop brake fluid from leaking when you were doing work on a car. He said trying to rescue the situation as quickly as he possibly could. Oh my God. I've just seen what your others typed in.
Yes.
I dare you.
No, I can't do it.
She says, nipple chips in dildos. Never let it be said we don't discuss what you ask for.
I'm pretty sure Sav didn't ask for that.
I really didn't ask for that.
I have got no idea what cat has got in her tank at the minute. I've got no idea what she's vaping on, but whatever it is, Sav, can you get me 50 mils?
Yes, that can be arranged.
Oh, dearie me. Yes. Viking Vapor, you are so right. I think we do need to get on with what we were talking about. So yes, e-cigs, great thing, brilliant alternative, and an alternative that, like Nick Grim Green, I shall be using until they prize my, they call them PVs over there, but until they pry my e-cig from my cold dead hands. And even then it'll be willed to somebody, I'm here to tell you. Absolutely sure, absolutely sure. I think what we'll do is we'll take a swift break, and when we come back, mesh, I'm going to ask Mark to guide me through the construction of a mesh wick to make sure I'm getting this right. He's going to tell me how to do it. I'm going to do it. There could be blood, there could be blisters, but the only way to find out is come back after the break. We'll see you in 2.
Vaporworld.co.uk sponsors conversation on VT Talk.
because you want one.
iVapour and iVapour Elixir, based in Yorkshire, for your e-cig needs. That's iVapour.co.uk and iVapour-elixir.co.uk. iVapour and iVapour-elixir.co.uk are proud sponsors of VapourTrails.tv. And now back to conversation on VT Talk, sponsored by vaporworld.co.uk.
And we're back in the room. Sorry, I jumped the gun a little bit there with just the back end of it, but yes, we're gonna give it a blast. Now, Mark.
Yes.
Instructions how to make a mesh wick, but Sav, I think you've already had something from chat.
I have. Chat have been showing their support and confidence in you, and Jeff Bennion has said his advice to you is insert into envelope with a £5 note, post to Mark, and then wait. And Marco has said he'll do you two for a £5.
Oh, there you go. Send them to Marco.
Cheeky beggars. No faith, whatever. Right. So, I'm gonna do it for this beastie here, which is the NGP that I've been using since I got it actually, and it's quite a nice piece of kit. He's mesh wicked. What are you reckoning, Mark? Do we want the 500 or shall I go for some 200 or what?
What juice have you got in it?
It's a 50-50 mix.
So either. Go for the 500.
We'll go for the 500. Right, so skizzers out, and a bit like Mr. Kitson, I too have lots and lots of tools that I like to use, and I'm thinking that sort of width there will do the job. It's going to be long. Okay, now rolling it, do you roll it without any assistance, or?
Well, I actually, for my device, I tend to follow the method that the creator of the device suggested, and I wrap it around the Allen key that came with it.
Right, there was no Allen key came with my device. A toothpick?
Yeah, that should be fine. Just you don't have to roll it too tight around the toothpick in that case.
Well, that just gets it started, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, you're rolling that. I've got a couple of questions that are coming from chat.
Okay.
Gary Wood said, would 500 wick better than 400?
We're about to find out.
And Jill CB said, what's the difference between 500 and 200? Is it the thickness?
Mark?
It's the number of strands per, I think it's linear inch. So with a 500 you get 500 tiny little strands there. What something that's a 275, you get less strands. So
the holes in the 200 are wider, aren't they?
Yeah.
And the holes in the 500 are smaller. And this is where I get confused, because I understand something about capillary action, but patently not enough, because I can't work out which should be best. So this is by way of an experiment, because this is some 500 that Mark sent me a week or two back. I've been playing with the 200. Actually, I might as well wind the 200 as well, because I can do that while we're here. Round the toothpick. I found this the easiest way to do it, to be honest, is to get it started on the toothpick, pull the toothpick out like so, and then a bit like rolling a rolly, really. Rolling a rolly, really.
It's the same sort of action, yeah.
Yes. So you get nice little tubes. One thing I have been doing, Mark, and I'd like your comments, is I've been bulging the top of it out a bit and narrowing the bottom a bit.
Yeah, it can help as it sort of works as reverse funnel action when it goes in.
Yeah, it's the hot spottiness of the whole thing that I find very difficult. Right, you can see those, can't you?
Yeah.
Are they about ready for oxidation?
They look fine to me, pretty much.
A little scrappy bit I've just noticed at the top there, but that'll probably end up getting cut off because this is way too long. Right, oxidation, and for this bit I'm going to do an imeo. And here we go. So I could move the camera, you see. And there we go. That's interesting. You were just poking in my left shoulder there, Sal. I have no idea why it's doing that. None. Oh, I have. Right. I can see what's happening now. Okay. Ignore the set behind me. Right. Here we go.
You're going to set like the cell there.
I don't know whether that's visible. And start the heating process. So I need this to glow.
Yes, you want a good even glow over it. And as quickly as possible into your liquid when you take it over.
Ha ha! And then douse it.
Yes, just straight out into the whatever you're going to douse it in.
And then straight back in.
Yeah. I often use a paper towel just to...
Or you dry them off?
Just to get rid of excess water, just to speed it up a bit.
Oh right, I'm using e-juice.
If you use an e-juice, then just straight back in the flame, because it burns in.
I assume that's
Cat's
alright. I
starting
did
to
see...
get a little concerned about your fingers, Dave.
They're still on the end of my arm, it's fine. And I've got another 4 on the other hand.
All good.
I've got the wrong glasses on for this, you know. Am I right in thinking, Mark, that it's the top bit where the coil goes that's the bit we need to be worrying about?
Yeah, that's the most important bit. That and... Actually, just that on the device you're using, but if it's a metal-based device, then where it goes through the metal, you really want that to be oxidized as well.
So you dry it before you reburn it, yes?
If I was doing it with water, yes, but not with e-juice, I'd just stick it straight in the flame.
Right.
It's just the water takes quite a while to evaporate off.
Somebody has said to use hydrogen peroxide because it oxidizes the metal better.
I had seen that, yeah, I've never tried it.
Sorry if I'm shouting, but actually this torch is quite loud. Ha ha, flames.
That's the problem with burning off the juice.
Yes. So how many times do we need to do this?
At least 3, but as many as you want after that.
Well, there's
yeah,
3.
Let's just ask that question. How do you know when it's done?
Looking at it mostly, you want to be looking for an even dark colour with no... It wants to all look the same, basically. If you've got lighter spots, then it needs done a bit more.
And you could do this on the gas cooker, couldn't you?
Oh yeah, easily.
Kat's probably sitting laughing her socks off here, thinking that Dawn's doing it all wrong.
She's actually given a lot of advice in chat going along with what you're saying.
Oh, excellent.
So, it's all very good.
Flames.
I just have to read Bez's comment, I'm sorry. You've got to dip your wick when it gets too hot, Dave.
Yeah, I've been using that line for years. It gets you nowhere.
And Kat says yes, she is laughing at you.
One last dip, doink. And then, am I right in thinking, because Kat was saying this, you do the dip into the juice and then let it burn, yes?
Yeah, just light it and then take it away from the flame.
That's quietened off a bit. It's burning. Oh look, you can see it moving down the wick.
Yeah.
It's gonna get to me fingers.
That's the bit when you get worried. It starts getting lower and lower.
No, that's when you go fwa fwa. Fwa fwa fwa. So there it is. That's it. Does that look alright to you?
That looks pretty good from here. Yeah, I think you're good to go.
It looks to be pretty well coated with a black coat. I can't see anywhere where it's going to go manky. I suppose, really, what I ought to do is put a meter across it, and if I touch it, we'll know whether it's going to conduct.
Yeah.
I'll do that. I'll get a meter. Folks will think we've set this up, and we haven't. I've been faffing about with these things for 2 or 3 weeks since I got back from Ireland, because I'd not had one of these before then. I'll move that tub of juice, otherwise it'll go everywhere. And for those of you in chat that like to do such things, fluke! Alrighty, back to the closey up you can. Pointed back down. I'll move the 200 one out of the way. Put that there. And if I touch the metal side, that's what we're listening for, the beep. No beep. You can see that. Not a beep. Now, that would appear to be then oxidised and non-conductive.
That looks pretty good there.
So we've cracked it. We've made the wick. I suppose now the thing to do is to make the coil to go with it, yes?
That helps.
Is everybody happy in chat so far, Sav? Do we need to go back over anything that, or do you want to read out some of the stuff that Kat said? Because I can't cut it past.
I think that they've pretty covered it. The only thing that other comments I've got, Marky Mar said he's going to get a sheet of 325, so it's right in between the 275 and the 400.
Right.
And Kat had said, personally I found the mid-range 400 okay for everything and works on all the rebuildables that she has.
I'm just looking at the bit where she says it should look brown, black and feel rigid.
Yes.
Don't know what that bit's about. Right. There was no beep. Now, when it comes to coils, I've not been so grand with the wicks, but with the coils, I've been having a little bit more luck. So, if I go to closey uppy cam again, I will try and demonstrate why I've been having a bit more luck. And that bolt there is my guide. And if you look at the two together, you can see that at the business end, we're talking roughly the same sort of size. So what I've been doing, and God help me, I don't know whether you'll be able to see this or not. There you are, you can see the wire. I've used a little bolt just to keep the spacing of the coil even. And that is how I do it. It's very difficult to keep this in shot because I've only got about 3 inches wide to play with. And there is my coil, which you can see is relatively even. I'm doing this at arm's distance. So then you can simply slide your wick. Ooh. Did I say simply?
It's never simple on camera.
No, it isn't, is it? Get in. Oh, I know what the problem is. Got the wrong bloody glasses on. I cannot see what I'm doing. Right, now let's try. That's better. I can see now. And just to echo what Kat said, it does feel brown and black and rigid. Me wick. I've no idea if I'm on camera here at all.
Yeah, you're fine.
I can't see. That's it, there we go. And so the coil will now, he said, slide up pretty much to where I want it. And as you can see, it's quite snug in place. So I suppose I now ought to do the business. This is going to go to hell in a handcart, I can see it happening. Because I want to, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get hot spots here, Mark. I mean, do you get them often?
Not so much. The older my wicks get, the less I get them. But
so what causes that then?
It seems to be just shorting, and well, I'm not up here on here. When the wick gets too close to the centre post as well, I can sometimes get a hot spot right at the very top.
All right.
Which I have to play around with a bit to get rid of. But just putting juice on it and burning it off several times, just keep it very wet and just keep the button pressed down for a bit, and it tends to get rid of it.
Well, we'll see what happens when we get there. Let's clatter back on. Now, I've just measured this up against the tank, and this is way too long by about that much. Whoops, hang on. It's way too long by about that much, so I just need to cut it. And it needs to be cut around about that. Doink. And will need to be put back to there. Right, so, whoops. Here is the tank with one I made earlier, which has been working. So let's unscrew it and extract the wick and coil without breaking it, because this one's been working quite nicely all day. This is where the little toothpick comes into play again, just for extracting the bits off so that I can get it out. Out you come in one look, one lump, one bit, and we'll place that on a nice new sheet of white paper. Right, so in with this one, and that looks to be the right length, but the coil, focus, 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 there we are. So I want to get my coil on there and hold it in place. Now you see, I don't chop this off, and like I say, I don't claim to be an expert, but this is just what I've found works for me. And then right, now at this point I'm going to clag it onto the device and then drip a little bit of juice down that. Am I doing this all as I should be, Mark?
Yeah, that's normally how I would do it.
Just juice it up.
Just make sure it's very wet before you start.
Oh, it's very wet. I'm good that way. But I can see that the bottom connector is a bit slack. The wire to the bottom connector's gone just a bit slack. So I need to tighten that off a bit, otherwise it's hotspot city, isn't it? So right, now we'll see. Focus, you swine. Come on. There we go. Interesting. Nothing. Heh. What a time for my battery to go flat, eh?
This happens every time.
Every damn time. Which just goes to show this is definitely off the cuff. I presume chat are now falling all over the place, have they?
The first comment was so slow. Whilst you're changing your battery, I'll read a couple of the other comments.
Please do.
Regarding making the coil, Super 7 has said, I've been wrapping the wire around a 2mm drill bit, then pop it into the arty with the bit, then connect the wire and remove the bit, then fire it a couple of times, push the wick through, no hot spots. And Kat has said, also, place a needle from a syringe in the top of the wick and use the rigidity of that to wrap your coil. Whatever works for you is the right way.
That makes sense. I've just put another wrap on it because I think it might have been too low for this device. I've got an error message coming up here. There's something adrift.
Here's a question for you. Is it best to do a run at real low voltage, dry, to test and fiddle with the wires to line them up so they will all glow? And that was from Marky Ma.
Mark, over to you.
Tend to lower the power when I first put the wick on. When I first put the new coil on. Just to burn it for a long time. But I always do it wet. I never leave it dry. When you're doing it dry or wet, you can see the bubbling from the heat across all the coils normally. I don't like it getting too hot.
Well, I can tell you what's happened here now is that coil is 0.8 ohms, which will not fire on the device I'm using it on because it's power controlled. So it's too low a resistance for it. And what that means is I'm going to have to wind another one. But I'd much rather that these things happened. Now that was 4 turns round, so I'm going to go to 6 turns round. And this is 0.25 mil Canthal, so I'll wind it again. Do no harm, will it?
No, that'll be why.
Back on the bolt. 1, 2, 3, 4. Whoops. 5. And 6. And then unscrew. Yes, 0.8 ohms is very, very low. Very, very low indeed. Right, so that's the coil is now made. So while we pop into the next lot of adverts, I'll stick it back onto the wick and get it into the device, and then we can see where it's going to go. I'll be back in 2 minutes. We'll all be back in 2 minutes. So will you.
Vaporworld.co.uk sponsors conversation on VT Talk. And now back to conversation on VT Talk, sponsored by vaporworld.co.uk.
And just in case you didn't know, that's how long it takes to wind a coil, stick it on your bits and get it back into your device. While the adverts were on, that was exactly what I did. So if we look at that now, if I can get this thing to focus, there we go. As you can see, we've got one or two more turns of the wick, of the coil on the wick, because this is 0.25. I just wish I could get this camera to focus. There you go. So you can see what's happening. And my feeling is I'm probably going to need to just finesse these bits down a bit, just to keep the spacing a bit more right. Doesn't look so bad. Let's put a little bit of juice on. Little bit, he said, putting 1/2 mil on.
Well, there's a little bit for you.
And there we go. Can you believe this? Is that hotspot showing up?
Yes.
It is now.
In fact, it's got to the point where that hotspot's caused too low a resistance. Whew. So, I presume I'm going to need to respace these coils with my little toothpick and just try and tighten everything up a tad. This is the fiddly part, isn't it, Mark?
Yeah, it really can be. The last time I made a wick, made a coil for this, I actually used a tip from Cat. And before I made the coil, I coated the wire in juice and set light to it. And then made the coil straight after. And I never got a single hotspot with that.
Right.
That worked really well.
Well, I've sorted that resistivity thing out. And it would appear to be... I can see where the hotspot is. It's that top strand between the wick and the terminal.
Yeah, that's nearly always where you get them.
Yep, there it goes. You can see it there. So, according to Chris, Cat, we just keep dousing it and burning it. It's gone low again. I don't even think what this is. There we go. That's better. That in fact is bang on. Did you see any hot spots there?
Right at the very end there, it was just starting to go hot.
I'll just stick a bit more juice on it. Give it another burn. It's dropped resistance again. So all I'm doing here is just relaying the coils a bit. What I might do is just that. Just wind the wick out a bit. A touch. That's better. That looks alright now. So now I can trim my bits of wire off. Trimming them quite close because it's a metal cap on this GNP. And now that you can, you can see the effect it's having, that grey sparkly stuff, believe it or not, that's vapour. And this thing's a bit like a smoke machine. While I'm putting this together, Sav, have they had anything more to say in chat?
Yeah, Mitch Dogs asked a very interesting question. Is there any known health issues with either the wick or the wire material?
Well, not with the Canthal that I'm aware of, but like everybody, like most people on the team, with the exception of Captain Mark, I am very, very new to the Genesis style of wick. So, Mark, do we know of anything?
With Canthal or the stainless steel mesh, I don't know of anything, no.
Well, that's always good, because I've not heard anything, and I read quite extensively. Actually, there's one thing I've forgotten to do, which I probably do need to do, and that is fillet. And this is a trick I learned from Mark, so you know what I'm going to do. And that is to fillet by putting my needle down the wick.
While you're doing that, I've got another question for you, Dave.
Go on, then.
From Pipe MMO says, question for Dave, how did you get on with your Dominator tank? I bought one that lasted 30 minutes and in that time it used both wicks. Not particularly impressed. Gonna send off for a Genesis.
My Dominator tank, I had difficulty getting the thing to wick properly as it came out of the tin. It was a bit of a pain, to be honest. But what I ended up doing was making a U-shaped mesh wick and trying that, and that actually seemed to work a lot better. I'll cover it in a hair's hour coming to a screen near you very, very soon. What I did, I'll show you what the end result looks like. It is, I have to say, a major fart. It is a major fart. And it's down to how the thing goes together. And literally, once you've got it right, leave it alone. And just keep on using it as it stands. Because the next time you do it, it'll take you about 4 times longer than doing what we've done tonight. Right. That would appear to be working quite nicely. Very, very nicely, in fact. So
Let us ask, what tank is it that you're actually using?
that's the NGP.
Right.
It's from Hungary. It's the one that I got across at the Irish Vape Fest. Charlie Jelly had a few there that he'd brought across from NGP mods in Hungary, and I've been using it a lot. And it does work. Once you've got that bit of faff, and it is faff, there's no two ways about it, it's definitely faff. Once you've got that bit of faff out the way, this thing just hits and keeps on hitting, much like Mark's did, because that's never out of your hand, is it, Mark?
It never is, no. I've had it, 5 months now? And it's been used pretty much constantly. And I've still got the very first wick that I made for it. And that's still perfectly serviceable.
Vapeologist has asked, how often do you need to re-wick?
Well, Mark's more or less just answered that. How long have you been using that wick, Mark?
That's the first wick that I made. That's a 400 mesh wick that I got. That was used for at least 3 months and still perfectly fine.
And I think Kat will probably tap into chat. She's been using the same wick for months. And I've seen her when we've been chatting on Skype using the line that she's got. If you know Kat at all well, you'll know how things go, and you'll just get top comes off, wire comes out, wick coil comes off the wick, whaps it round, whaps it round, quick press, no hot spots, that'll do, snip, top on, and 20 seconds later, it is nearly 20 seconds, it doesn't take her very much longer than that. But
She does them in the dark.
I know, I've sat and watched her, and I'm thinking,
It is scary.
this is a woman that doesn't understand volts and ohms and watts. But she can
Re-wick a Genesis in the dark.
She can wick it, yeah. She doesn't even need her glasses on.
Oh.
I am happy now. That's what you get. It's crackers. I mean, simply put, she is the witch of Meshwick.
Yes.
The witch of Meshwick, like the witches of East. Never mind. Moonlit said Dave sounds a tad jealous. I am, but I'll catch her up, because with Mark's help and Kat's help, and trust me, at the knees up, we're going to be sitting making wicks and coils like nobody's business. Trust me on this one, we are. With their help, I'm learning how to do it. I've got 1 or 2 ideas in mind as well. Is that did, Mark? Does that have a metal platform where the wick goes through?
It does, yeah. It's stainless steel. Yeah.
So do you have any issues with not properly oxidized mesh causing strangeness?
I did where it goes through the stainless steel base. If it wasn't quite oxidized properly, I would get a hot spot at the bottom of the coil now and again.
Right.
So I have found that the older the wick gets, the less that you've got a problem like that. And if it's, I mean, this is thoroughly oxidized now, and I don't have a single problem with it. The only thing with the juices, with I think it's ethyl maltol in, they will get gunked up the coils quite a bit after a week or so. So when I take off the coil, I just set light to the wick again with a bit of juice on it, and that clears off all the gunk and everything, and just wipe it down, good to go again.
Sounds brill. I've got no idea whether this will have ended up being useful to anybody or everybody or nobody. I've got no clue at all. I just, with all of the talk about mesh wicks and everything that's been going on, I hope it does prove useful. I know somebody's asked us to put it up as a V-clip. It'll be up on YouTube. You can always skip the bits you don't like when you're on YouTube and just scroll to the bit where it looks like there's going to be blisters and blood and stuff like that. But I am conscious of the fact that it's very, very nearly time for us to go. But I did mention, did I not, the knees up, didn't I?
You certainly did.
It's a week on Saturday. I really think you need to be there. It's at the Rattler in Shields. Have a look at this. I'm having one of those nights. Have a look at this. There you go. That's where it is and when it is. Where it is and when it is. So it's been a kind of a different VT talk tonight. Kind of talking and teaching an old man that knows now how to do things that he's really not very good at. Thank you so much for that, Mark. I think I needed that lesson. It was nice to have the eyes of the expert looking on as I took a chance on burning my fingers to bits.
Bears is asking for more details of the knees meet because he missed it on the ad, so can we reiterate when and where it is?
Right, Bears, are you listening? I'll do it in your local patois zone. We're going to the Rattler at South Shields on the 13th of October, and we'll be there about 3 o'clock till we get hired out for being our rowdy. That's when it is, young. Did they get that, how? Does they know what I'm talking about? Has he?
I'm waiting for a response.
I bet he comes back and says he doesn't understand that kind of language. It's the 13th of October at the Rattler on the front in South Shields, which is in the county of Tyne and Wear, from 3 in the afternoon, 1500 military time, through until the time when we are thrown out for being too rowdy. Okay?
He's complaining about the start time.
Wait,
You don't have to turn up at 3.
You don't have to be there at 3. Come at 5 past.
10 past even. I don't mind.
Any time you like. All you have to do is turn up. It's free. There's no charge to get there. Well, it'll cost you whatever it costs you to get there. But and you'll be able to meet Mark. You'll be able to meet Sav, Kat, Mark O Van Boston, Dougie's coming, Daz from Safer Sigs is coming. I'm coming. I'll keep my way.
John and Sea Biscuit are coming.
There's loads of come.
We're getting shouted at. Titles now.
Oh, right. I'm sorry. I put titles now. Titles now. Ladies and gentlemen of our audience, it's been a delight once again. Thank you so much, Mark, for coming in and holding me hand while I did that Bernie thing with the wick doohickey. Sav, again, thank you for doing what you do, which you do so well and so generously. Kat, thanks very, very much for everything that you've done in chat tonight. I wish we could publish that because I think that's been very helpful. And to everybody that's been watching, thank you so much for tuning in. Tune in next week. Till then, bye-bye.
VT Talk was sponsored by Vaporworld, introducing the straight-up range of e-liquid from the USA containing real tobacco extracts.